Hi there, I am Barney, singer of sorts from the band Napalm Death, and you are watching Metal Nexus.
How was performing in a spaceship today?
Yeah, weird. I mean, to be honest with you, this whole tour is quite trippy in that respect. Some of these venues we're like looking at them going, really? You know, we've never really played this sort of thing before, you know, in all the years, so it's just different, you know. But, you know, like, most importantly, like, everybody's been really friendly to us, you know, because you never quite know, you know, how you're going to be treated, you know, on things this big, but it's been great.
Yeah, you got the one non-thrash band on the lineup too, so.
Yeah.
And most of the venues that you've been playing on this tour with Slayer has been seated too. That's probably very different for y'all as well, right?
It is, but, you know, the time that we play, it's usually just the floor section that's in. So, in some respects, it's kind of like a regular gig. Yeah. Only we would not have those barriers usually. You know, we don't tend not to have barriers. You know. But,
well, you guys definitely slayed Nashville this afternoon, I guess it would be.
Yeah, wow, it is very much
pretty early day. So, how does it feel to be on this tour with Slayer and their kind of farewell tour?
Yeah, you know, see, I haven't really thought about it that much. You know. It was nice to be asked, you know, that's for sure. We were kind of shocked, you know, that we were asked. But then, you know, the thing is that we never intended to do anything other than approach it how we would any gig, whether it was, you know, 100 people in some obscure town in the middle of Germany or here, you know, a smaller gig here. We always treat the same. So we're really just doing our thing, as they say, you know. I mean, I don't really know too much about the Slayer situation, how much stuff they're going to do from here on in, how long it is before they do actually finally finish.
So, I know you guys are working on some new material. What's the progression been like so far?
Yeah, the music's pretty much done. I'm working on the lyrics and all that. So, but realistically, it's not going to come out till next year, and it could be at any point next year.
Well, I mean, you got dates booked in South America through the
after
end of the
this,
year,
yeah.
Then a Euro tour, and I think with a hometown show to end the year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, pretty much, is that what you're going to do after the I think December 1st is that last show in Birmingham?
Yeah, basically, I'm going to go away for a while. And whilst I'm away, write some stuff as well. So yeah.
Is there a concept in your head?
Oh yeah, it's already there. Yeah.
So would you say it's going to be a concept album?
Well, I try. You know, here's the thing. Every time I come around to an album, I go, I'm not going to do another concept album this time. I just stick to, you know, small, bite-sized things.
Right.
But it never works out that way. It always ends up in some grand concept thing. But so be it. You know, that's the way it goes.
And I love the album art for Apex Print. I'm a big sucker for album art. Whenever I was young, you bought an album based on the album art sometimes and took a chance on it. How much of importance do you put on the album art, and how do you guys go about choosing album art?
Well, going along with what you just said, you know, bands are not one thing. I think they have to try to be strong in all departments, whether it's playing live, whether it's recording albums, artwork. You know, the whole. I look at it as an art form. You know, it has to be the best that you can do in all like small departments. You know, so it is important for us. It's got to be right, and we won't let it go until it's right. You know.
So it seems like a lot of legendary musicians are retiring from either recording or touring altogether, like Rush, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, now Slayer. Why do you think it's mostly happened in the metal and rock community and not other genres so much?
Well, I mean, Napalm has a considerable presence in the punk scene, you know. You know, we see punk bands like decide the same thing all the time, so it's not exclusive to one genre. I would disagree with what you said, actually. I think it's a universal thing. I think that, you know, I'd never take it for granted, and I'm thankful for doing something that 90% of people would like to do. But it does come with its challenges, you know. Mentally, psychologically, being on the road can be very difficult. First and foremost, you've got to need to have a relationship with 3, 4, 5, however many other people that you're going to see every day. It's not easy, you know what I mean? You have to be tolerant, you have to be, you know, give and take.
Is it hard to always keep that chemistry together?
Well, in that respect, yes. It's not hard to keep the chemistry as a band on stage, for us at least. Right. But sometimes outside of that, it can be testing, you know. But here's the thing. It's the same for Napalm as anybody else. If it comes to a point where I think, or we think, that either the live gigs aren't as good as what they were, or we think we're running out of ideas, like for new music, then I wouldn't want to carry on. I can't do 50% of a band that I've strived for 100% for the 30 years I've been in it now, nearly, you know. Couldn't do that.
So, with me, I've always loved how your lyrical content is thought-provoking. You know, you'll put something on the table kind of for us to nibble at and make our own decision about, you know, the meaning of it. Is there anything in the real world or current climate that's inspired you lately to write about?
Well, I just think I think that, you know, here's the thing. Everybody sort of is jumping up and down at the moment that the world is really at critical point. You know what? If that's the case, it's been at critical point for 200 years now, more. If you really think back, like per decade, however long you've been alive, you know, you can't fail to remember something that was really fucking critical, you know. I just think we have very accentuated situations now. We have Trump, for example, who, you know, in my opinion, personally, is a terrible human being, you know, and I think that the way he, like, disregards people in general who are lower than him on the social scale, I think, like, it's really weird, you know. Sometimes it's almost like a comedy show, you know, in itself. Although that kind of disregard of human beings is really not funny, you know, but it's absurd, you know. So I mean, but then, like I say, he's only one piece of several things going on that are not good. You know, the whole environmental situation, for one thing, that kind of steps backwards, you know, away from trying to make things better is very, very worrying, you know, because you can see the effects of that. It's almost feels as if it's nearly too late unless something's done, you know, and of course with what the EPA's trying to do right now, you know, or the guy that's heading the EPA is not helpful, you know, for any of us, I think.
So we close the set tonight, which I appreciate very much, with Not Too Punks Fuck Off. It's a timeless classic. Do you feel it's kind of even more relevant today than it may have been, or every day?
Well, I mean, on a local level, in terms of gigs, we've had problems with that in the past, like especially in the early 90s, when it was almost trendy to be a like white Aryan, you know, guy in the scene. It was really, really fucking depressing, actually, you know, that stuff. But now, of course, certainly in Europe, we have some very worrying developments in the south and east of Europe. We have almost like Hitler Youth kind of sort of organisations in some of those Eastern European countries who are legitimised by the government, you know, who are accepted, you know, and it's very, very weird times. And you would think that Europe as a continent, collectively, we would have learned from this stuff, given the 1930s, 1940s. But it seems to be happening again. So yeah, it is getting worse. And of course in the States, you have a very, very recognisable ultra-conservative, you know, neo-fascist, you know, kind of thing.
Let's talk a little bit about your tour that's coming up. So like I said, I think you're hitting Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Mexico, all those.
You remember better than I do.
Yeah. Is there anything specific that you look forward to in a South American tour?
You know, I think, you know, when you go to a continent like South America, you understand what it is to be poor, you know, sometimes. Because some of those people haven't got fucking anything, you know. So if, especially this time, by going out with another headlining band, you know, the two together hopefully will give Cannibal Corpse. Okay. Two very different bands, two very different, you know, sort of general ways of things. But all the same, you know, there's a certain crossover audience, and then people that just like one or the other band, probably. So, value for the people over there who there's not a lot of money sloshing around South and Central America, you know. So yeah, that I think is hopefully positive, constructive.
So how long has it been since you've been to South America on the tour?
3-4 years, I think.
And I know after that you got a Euro tour.
Small Euro tour, yeah, it's not that big.
In Germany.
Yeah, it's like 10 days or something.
And then I seen also you already have a date scheduled for Iceland in like next year, maybe.
Yeah, we always, we get offers like all the time, you know.
So December 1st, you got a hometown show pretty much in the year before the new year starts. So what can we expect in the first coming months of next year with Napalm Death?
Well, I mean, speaking for myself, I'll be still working feverishly on the album, you know. And then we'll basically, I mean, I think next year will be dependent on when the album comes. So things will kind of fall into place around that, really. This year's different because we know that the album's not going to be ready, so it doesn't matter, you know, it's kind of stuff. But next year we'll need a bit more kind of structural.
Well, Barney, we definitely appreciate your time. Anybody that hasn't finished seeing the Slayer tour, make sure to see them if you're in South America, or you can catch them on the Hero tour and their hometown show, of course, too. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Metal Nexus.